Now let's talk about Chrystia Freeland, that smirking,
Oh,
twitchy granddaughter of a Nazi, celebrator of Nazis. I think her grandfather, who was a legit Nazi, expropriated a Jewish newspaper from a Jew in the Holocaust and turned it into a Nazi propaganda rag. And then Chrystia Freeland, I don't blame her for what her grandfather did before she was even born, but she tried to hide it and cover it up. And then she celebrated that Nazi Yaroslav Hanka in Parliament.
Yes.
And so to watch her smirk as you were arrested on her behalf is so gross. And unless it's happened in the last 15 minutes we've been on air, she has not yet apologized. She has not disavowed. She has not said anything. And I think Chrystia Freeland is so gross. I mean, she's gross in a number of ways, but you might not remember this, but 4 years ago, the governments of Canada and the United Kingdom had something called a Media Freedom Conference.
Oh, I remember that.
And Sheila Gunn-Reid and I went over there. And if you can believe it, Chrystia Freeland was the co-chair of this conference. So Sheila and I were over there in London at this press freedom conference. Chrystia Freeland gives a speech, and then she has a press conference. So Sheila wants to go. And Chrystia Freeland says, no, not you. At a Media Freedom Conference. Now, in the only time I can remember this happening, the other reporters there said, if you don't let her in, we're not going.
That was incredible. And let's make no bones. Those were foreign journalists coming to bat for you, not the Canadian.
They were Canadians stationed overseas, so they weren't part of the Ottawa mindset.
Gotcha. Okay.
But how gross a person are you? You literally give a speech at a Media Freedom Conference, but like these cops, you're a total inveterate liar. You're a total genetic liar. And so the second you're off the stage talking about media freedom, you're banning and censoring journalists.
Journalists hold governments accountable, knowing that we will face scrutiny and questions, that we as political leaders are not going to be grading our own work, makes us much better than we would otherwise be, even if we don't always feel that way in the throes of particularly heated press conferences. Transparency builds citizens' faith and confidence in their governments and in democracy. That's why journalists must have the ability to report facts freely and to defend, expose, and advance the truth without fear of retaliation, reprisal, violence, or imprisonment.
She is a depraved, morally depraved, amoral, zombie, fascist, just like her Nazi grandfather.
I couldn't have said it any better. And there's an added level of perversity here when it comes to Fraulein Freeland, Ezra, and it's this. Once upon a time, before she got into politics, she was a journalist.
If you call what she did journalism, it was basically, she was the official biographer to George Soros. I don't know if you know that. So that's not really journalism, it's propaganda. We're going to do something about that. Go to standwithdavid.com if you want to stand with David. On behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, to you at home, goodbye, and keep fighting for freedom.